This is going to be a bit of a talky video. It's about why I leased a 2024 Hyundai Ioniq 5. This is also going to be a brief comparison between the 25, which is the updated Ioniq, and some of the pros and cons of both, and my experience of also buying one of these cars from a Hyundai dealership. So let's get started. I didn't need a new car. I didn't want a new car. My mom needed one. She's upwards of, on the upper end of 70 years old. She's on a fixed income, typical senior situation, and she's probably not going to be driving safely for much longer. So it's tricky. She had a Honda Civic that has completely rotted out, and it had a fuel leak, among so many other things, that it's just a junkyard special. And she'd been imploring me for over a year to try to find a new car. And in the United States, you know how it is. Used car prices have gone through the roof. And selfishly, I didn't want to be on the hook for some $10,000+ used car that was going to not give me any problems that I'd be stuck with if she stopped driving. I just didn't want to outlay that cash. New car would be absolutely stupid because I'd be stuck with that with a long-term loan, probably some money down to get the car payments down. Again, she can't afford a lot. And that left me against the wall of trying to find a car that was going to be cheap with a low payment that I wouldn't be stuck on the hook for a long time. So a lease made sense. I started looking at leases from every brand, and big shock, the EVs wound up being the best choice. And that's a large part because the incentives are there to try to get people into them. I would say, after knowing what I know, owning an EV now and going through the EV experience, you really don't buy a modern EV. They don't hold their value. I don't care which one it is. They all are worth when you're done with them in like 3 or 4 years. When I looked at them, Hyundai and Kia have some of the best affordable EVs on the market. Not only are they good on the inside and outside, they drive good. They're quiet, they're refined, they're built well, the tech is great, better than many of the competitors. And you have a $7,500 lease credit that you get when you buy one of these. So that's $7,500 off right off the bat. And then most of the dealerships are negotiating down the Ioniqs in general, so you could get almost $15,000 off total. That takes a $50,000 EV down to the $30,000 to $35,000 range. And that's why I chose this, because it's a 2-year proposition that I'm not going to be stuck with. I can turn it in, and they were offering free charging at Electrify America for the 24s and below to a certain extent. But it's also a great car. Jack and I have talked about the Ioniq 5 being one of the best affordable EVs on the market, and the 25 has been updated quite a bit from the 24, and I'm going to talk about that now. So I chose a 24 because I needed a 24, and I was worried that the tax incentive was going to disappear or the EV incentives were going to disappear with the 25. So I went with the 24, and I needed it right away. But I'm not going to pull any punches. The 25's better. I don't really care. It's subtly different, but here's the things they've changed that really that put it over the edge. One is the battery density is improved, so you get 20 more miles of range, which is, take it or leave it. It's the technology in terms of the safety suite has been improved enough. It's the latest iteration, so it's quicker to respond. There's eye tracking for lane deviation, so it's semi-autonomous driving is much better. The infotainment is the latest generation, which right there for most people is going to be the big deal breaker. It's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wireless, which the 24 and below did not have. It also has fixed all the physical controls. They've gone back to physical controls for this car for 25, for all of it. You no longer have to go into the infotainment for a majority of it. Driver-only HVAC, your heated steering wheel, your heated seats, your cooled seats, your camera buttons now on this physical layer below. And Hyundai and Kia are really smart about this. And that's a huge thing. It's almost like why I would go to a 25 if I was buying it new. So between the infotainment being way better, all of that, combined with the fact that they've added a preconditioning battery toggle mode in the infotainment on the 25s is also another reason. If you live in a cold climate, you're going to know this right away. You need a hot battery. You need a warm battery by the time you get to the DC fast charger. Otherwise, your charging speeds are going to be abysmal. The 24 and below did not get that. Why? I don't know. It's got to be the dumbest thing ever. The only way to get the battery to precondition on the 24 and below is you had to put it in the onboard navigation system and put a fast charger in there. In my mom's case, she parks outside. She does not have a charger at home, which means the battery is cold all the time in the winter. Basically 6 months. From October to April, the battery is always below the ideal range. And when she got this car, I couldn't even find the DC charger, the DC fast charger that she needed to go to, so you'd have to fake the system. Oftentimes it would never work, and she would show up with a cold battery, and it would take her 50 to 55 minutes to get to 80% in the cold, and there was no way around it. So instead of getting 200 kilowatts of energy into the battery, you're only getting like 30. So again, if you're outside and you don't know what you're dealing with here, it's probably not the car for you if you live in a cold climate and you don't have home charging. If you have home charging and you have a charger in your garage, I promise you're probably never going to think about this. It's really, really transformative, which I'll get into more in the drive. The other changes here are the wireless phone charger, the center console's been improved, but other than that, really, there's just subtleties to the interior that have changed in terms of design, some cost cutting, some improvements. But overall, it's the same solid cabin feel of this car compared to a lot of the commodity cars. The packaging is great. It feels enormous in here, ton of glass. Just, you have so much room in the back seats, and the hatch space is really good. The other thing they've changed here is they've gone to the NACS charging standard, which is essentially the Tesla supercharger standard. Smaller plug, the cable's easier to plug in and out. It's just a tinier design. And the reason why a lot of brands are moving to that standard versus the old one, CCS, is because the supercharging network is all over the country, whereas the CCS chargers are not, the independent ones weren't everywhere. So really, you know, that was the big driver towards that. But 2 years ago, I would have said, you got to have NACS. You got to have access to superchargers. And now, in my area, we have EA everywhere. We have Thornton's gas stations putting BP Pulse, which are BP DC fast chargers in all these gas stations. The amount of public charging infrastructure in our area is like tripled. So it's actually better than our Tesla supercharging network, which is hilarious. So you can do either with an adapter, obviously. But the main thing is when you choose an electric car, you really have to know what you're getting into. You have to really do the research and see what your public charging network is and how saturated it is, which luckily, like with EA, you can download the app on your phone and you can see how many people are there at the charger. And if it's always maxed out when you check it like every day, you know that that's going to suck. So again, having an electric car really benefits most people by having that charger inside your garage or even plugged outside. There's, you know, all-season chargers that you can have, or weatherproof chargers, so you can charge it outside. That is going to solve a lot of your issues. If you're living on a fast charger or living on public charger and you do a lot of miles, you're going to be hating life. And that's just it. Again, the only other thing to talk about in interior space is, you know, with these wide open floor plans like you're seeing on EVs, there's so much carpet space. And I have a partnership with TuxMats, and I've had it for like 2 years, and I made a lot of joking around about it, but now that I've had it in like 4 or 5 of my cars, it's literally saved the interior space of the car, whether you have kids or not. I mean, being able to have no carpet exposed or very minimal carpet, salt, snow, moisture, to be able to pull out the mat, wipe it down, spray it off, and not damage your carpet. And, you know, cars are expensive. I've really leaned on using these now. And you can even see it on the Ioniq, the amount of coverage that you get. You literally don't have to worry about it. If you have a family or if you have kids in the car, if you're in the snow and salt belts, you definitely want to look at these, and I'm not even joking around. They are so usable and functional, and if you don't like the look or feel of them, which I don't like a plasticky feel, in the summer when you pull them out, you know, you're gonna be like, thank God I saved my carpet. It's not all stained, I don't have to scrub it, it's not all saturated full of water. I mean, it's such a great product that for a lot of these cars now, it's one more thing to add and add a cost on, but it's something that I've really appreciated using in all these cars. And it's definitely saved some of my favorite cars from damage, from having people in, or gear, or people, or kids in as well. So definitely check them out. If you have a car that you really care about, check out TuxMats. I appreciate them supporting us as well. But let's take this for a drive with Jack, and we're gonna talk about some of the improvements that the 25 has made.
As a man who also loves his mother, Mark, it's time for me to launch my Hyundai Ioniq. Man, that's some brisk acceleration for $300 a month, sir.
So there's a few things to
Back
talk
into
about.
normal mode.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yes,
They
tell
made
me.
some suspension revisions, which I drove this back to back with the other one, and to me, really, it's just better body control on this. It's still an overall pretty soft vehicle, and it's pretty quiet. Let's get to that. For this price point,
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Very impressive.
I mean, when we look at all the other like economy cars that are in this category for this price, it's really hard to touch this. And a lot of that just has to do with the fact that not that it doesn't have an engine, it's the body structure helps a lot. Reducing NVH from suspension, random noises and things don't get on the inside part of the cabin. And if you're looking for that cruiser, the car that is like doing exactly what most people do, this is a huge benefit to having like an electric car.
Even versus purely not cruising, you know, if you're comparing this to like an Altima, a base Civic, a Corolla, I think the dynamics of this car, even in the corners, are vastly superior.
Yeah.
This, like, for the amount of money you're saying you can get in one of these Fords, let's say ignoring this particular vehicle we're in, you said an SCL all-wheel drive, what am I actually paying? Say I bought it, I wasn't leasing it. What am I actually paying for that car?
If you were buying it outright?
Yeah, with my discounts and everything.
I mean, you'd probably get one for around 40-ish.
Then if I was
30s.
leasing it, you said like $250, $300 a month?
Yes, $250, $300. And that's essentially no money down. That's just tax, license, and title. So now you take away the EV credit and you take away like the dealer discounts, then you're talking about a very expensive car compared to Corollas, Civics, Altimas.
But here and now, with those things in place, this is
I mean,
bargain.
it's incredible. I mean, it's one of those that people are not utilizing the fact that we have these advantages right now, at least in the United States, to get a car like this. If you need a point A to point B machine, like just because it's electric, people have kind of written it off, and that's just the world we live in. But I mean, this is one of the best electric cars we talked about when it came out. You know, I know there's the Model 3 and Y discussion and some of the other economy.
I'd take this over
EVs.
any of the, like, I'd take this over a Mach-E immediately.
Yes.
I'd take this over a Blazer EV. I just launched this car and took it up to a rather brisk speed. And on this trip with that launch, so this trip only has 15 miles on it, I'm still getting like 3.4, 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour.
And when you go through the chart of what I've had this past week in like 50 to 60 to 70 degree weather, I'm getting my highest in a 20-mile drive was 4.8 miles per kilowatt hour. Now, if you're driving this like you probably normally would in
like
the
this,
heat,
45 miles
you
an
could
hour.
get over 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which means you're easily getting probably middle 300s. And this is not an enormous battery pack in this car either. So it's got the efficiency, it's really quiet, it's got really good ride refinement, it's got its all-wheel drive. So let's get into the negatives. Insurance, you know, it's going to be way more expensive to insure this because of the battery pack. It's a car that is going to lose its value if you finance it.
If you do end up buying it, the cost to own is going to be catastrophic.
Yeah. So that's where it becomes a very much more difficult sell versus a Civic or a Corolla or those cars you know that you can keep for 20 years and not lose your ass.
Also, if you like driving, the steering is entirely dead.
Yeah.
It's lifeless and too fast, and you have no feeling through the brake pedal, though the throttle mapping is perfect.
Yeah, throttle, they did a good job on that. It is tricky, and I think the more you drive this, and I know you've been driving around the TS, the WRX, and probably some of these other loud cars, and when you get in here, you really start to appreciate it when you're sitting in traffic. The NPC stuff that you would be doing where your brain is off.
Oh, the driving aids are phenomenal, too.
Yeah, they've updated that for the 25, so the driver's aids are their next generation. They do perform better. It's far less invasive than the previous car was. The eye tracking I did have to turn off. Anytime I put my head back because of my squinty eyes, it would freak out. So, I mean, it's not perfect.
Let me tell you about having squinty eyes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have the same problem I do.
Yeah, in every car.
Yeah, it's really annoying. So again, if you got big anime eyes, then it's probably going to work great. But I really, really appreciate this car, dude. I mean, I think all the improvements that they've made here, specifically for the 25, if you're on the fence and you need a very affordable car in a monthly payment, then you don't want to be on the hook for this for more than 3 years. I would have, and you have a charger.
Yes.
Right, you clearly
Which is a built-in cost.
Right.
I will say, if you are in that, let's say $30,000 to $50,000 purchase price point. I know that's a big spread, but say you're looking for a car in the low 40s. I mean, the refinement part of this is a class above. This is as refined inside as, say, a TLX, a 3 Series, a base Audi A4, even a C-Class, I think, as far as being comfortable, being compliant, low road noise, low wind noise, and it's quick. Being an EV, it's very, very fast. It's as fast as any, or as quick as any premium 4-cylinder like base luxury sedan.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the other thing too, is I want to get this out there. This is not a car you buy for an emotional driving experience, right? But the things that it does do...
Transportation pod.
It's a transportation pod, and it's still fast as hell. I mean, you go whip it through this corner, and you'll see what I mean. Like, despite its weight and everything, there's no, like, eco 4-cylinder that can pull off what this does at the rate of speed that you pick up. And
again, if you're not looking for an emotional purchase,
yes. Of course. So most people are just going to love the torque. They're going to love the fact that you don't have some shitty CVT or like a really annoying 4-cylinder sound, rattly ass 4-cylinder. I mean, the refinement part of this is so good.
I get it, man. I wasn't super thrilled with these cars when they first came out. I think I told you as much. You were far more positive about it than I was. But now that you have more usable range, I think that was the big problem I had with early Ioniqs we drove. They had like 225 miles of range. This is being closer to 300. Again, where we live, where commute, I just went to Chicago and back. I blew 90 miles just doing that drive, and that's a normal drive for someone out in the burbs. If I didn't have it fully charged, I'd be thinking about, oh shit, I got to charge this thing.
Yeah.
With almost, let's say, high 200s most of the time, it's not a problem anymore.
And so there is a counterpoint, and you're right. In the winter, and I talked about this when I was talking about this car, the efficiency drops like a rock. They have added a manual ability to precondition the battery here, which wasn't
a blow dryer. You just
you hit the touch screen when I say manual. It's not you crank a heater, a blowtorch on the battery. No, it's better at allowing the battery to get heated up for charging, whereas before it was a pain in the ass. So they have fixed that, but there's little things like you want to leave this in driver only. Like if you leave the AC in 2 zones, it zaps your efficiency. The cold temperature zaps your efficiency. Driving fast above like 80 miles an hour drops your efficiency like really bad. So there's things here, and to be fair,
so these cars are only efficient if you're alone.
Right? Yeah,
you're a lonely man.
I mean, it's true. I mean, you're going to get the best efficiency if you follow those things.
You have no friends or loved ones.
If you're like us and you drive like 90 miles an hour on the highway and you have AC at sub-zero Arctic temperatures,
I gotta be cool while I'm listening to Michael McDonald, sir.
I know you want to be smooth. So you have to adjust the fact that there's ways to make these more efficient, and if you just drive these like straight up abusive, it's not going to be the greatest experience, and you're probably going to be looking for a charger. But for the way most people are going to operate this,
you're reducing my desire to own one.
Sorry.
You're lonely, you can't drive fast.
Yep.
Half the year it's got no range.
It's boring, soulless, no emotion. Hey, it sounds like your perfect companion.
Oh, for my AI bot?
Yeah.
Am I a good man? Yes.
Yep. Well, soon enough, this car will tell you all that. Give it another 5 years, it'll just be telling you whatever you want to hear, too.
Perfect. All right, Mark, I guess you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I think, so I appreciate everybody watching this, and clearly I'm going to kind of update people as it goes along with the ownership experience to see how this thing is kind of panned out over the course of it. Right now, I'm very happy with the updates they made, and I think it's definitely a car that people should look at if you have the charger at home, especially. It's going to be good.
I'm curious to see if I immediately, having driven your iX and driven this, rather being the iX, but be curious after your lease period, because you're basically coinciding both of these leases at the same time. If you feel the 3X almost that you're paying.
I was thinking about it today. Honestly, I was. I'm like, this has a lot of what the iX has in terms of
1/3 the price.
Yeah, basically. No, it's for real, and less insurance. It has a lot of the refinement. Now, clearly, is it quiet? Does it drive as good as the tech is good? Is the audio system is good? No, but it certainly doesn't justify an additional $40,000 price tag over this. I think you can get a lot of like some of these luxury EVs in this car, and it's also a testament to how well they did with this generation car. 800-volt architecture. Now this car's got CCS. I'm sorry, not CCS, NACS. It's got an NACS port
powered
by
default. By Elon.
Yep. You can go visit Elon at the digital Elon every week. So there's a lot here that Hyundai has done that much of its competition hasn't even been able to do for a first generation car.
I'm sold.
All right, buy one or not.
I think I'll stick with my Camaro.
I don't blame your V8 desires. Well, wouldn't this be a good second car
No, just get another Camaro.
Oh, you get 2 Camaros?
Get 2
you get a
Camaro.
4-cylinder Camaro? Do they have a 4-cylinder?
So what I would get is a
6?
CT4V Blackwing,
Okay.
a CT5V Blackwing, my Camaro, and then I get another Z06.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, I have the ultimate GM garage.
Yeah, this is the total. You're speaking it like a true person who would rather die than drive an electric car.